Welcome back everybody. So in today's video we will be going through the process of running DBT models on Cloud Run, and this is in Google Cloud Platform or a GCP environment. So let's get to it. Alright, like I mentioned, in today's video we will be going through the process of running DBT Core models on Cloud Run. And Cloud Run is a serverless service that is provided by Google Cloud Platform for you to run and deploy your container applications. Okay, so before we get started, I will quickly walk you through a very high level overview of, again, what we'll be covering in this video. And then right after this, we will jump into the demo. But if you don't want to watch me go through this high level overview, you can jump over to the section of the video where I start the demo. Okay, so this is what we will be covering. This is the high level architecture of what we'll be covering in this video. We will have our DBT models created locally, of course, within our local machine. We will package these DBT models into a Docker file, and we will use a cloudbuild to build and push these images to Google Container Registry or Artifact Registry. And then from there, we will deploy our images to Cloud Run. And from Cloud Run, this is where now we can execute our DBT models. Okay, so this is a very high level simplified architecture of what we'll be covering. So now I have mentioned quite a number of services here, and if you're not familiar, we will be quickly going over them at a very high level. Okay, so we have mentioned DBT here, and I have also mentioned Docker. I have mentioned Artifact Registry, cloudbuild, and Cloud Run. So we'll go very fast at a very high level through what these services are. Okay, so let's quickly do that. All right, so the first thing that we'll be starting with is DBT. So what is DBT? So DBT, if you are not familiar with, is it stands for Data Build Tool, and it is an open source tool that enables data teams to transform. Okay, make note of this keyword here: transform raw data into clean, organized, and analysis ready data sets within a data warehouse. So DBT is designed to work with modern cloud-based applications, and it follows the T in ELT. Okay, so ELT stands for extract, load, transform. So in a very simplified manner, what this one is saying really is DBT is a transformation tool that you can use in your ELT process. Okay, so if you have ELT process, and ELT really means the end-to-end process of bringing your data from the source, loading it into your database or a data warehouse, and then transforming it once you have it loaded in your environment. So DBT really helps you to transform your data once you have it loaded into your environment. And some of the advantages that we have for DBT include efficiency. So you can use DBT to automate data transformation pipelines, and this will help you reduce some of the manual efforts that you could do. Okay, so you can actually use DBT and push the code into your fashion control environment like Git, GitHub, or GitLab, all of those Git hosting websites. So you can build your CI/CD process with DBT in the picture. Okay. And the other advantage that you have here is simplicity. So this is mostly SQL fast approach, and is accessible to analysts without requiring engineering expertise. Okay, so DBT is mostly select statements. Okay, so if you know SQL, then DBT should not be very hard for you to handle. And I've done quite a number of videos on this, so take a look into the videos I've done in the channel, and you will have an idea of what DBT is and how you can use it. Okay. It also gives you transparency, so you can clearly document data transformations and dependencies. So DBT comes with this feature called documentation. Okay, so you can use DBT to generate documentation, and basically what it gives you is a holistic picture of how your models are looking in your environment. So you can track your lineage in your data transformations using DBT. Okay, so it makes it very transparent if you want to know how your data pipeline looks like. It's also good with scalability. So this one is designed for modern data platforms and large scale data sets. So if you have your data, for example, sitting in BigQuery or Redshift or I think even SQL Server, or if you're in a Microsoft environment, Azure platforms, you can also run there as well. So it's very cloud agnostic, right? I think that's the term, agnostic. So you can run it in cloud environment. Now, that does not mean that you cannot integrate it with on-prem environments as well. And I've done a number of videos where I've went through the process of connecting DBT to on-prem environments. So if you're running MySQL, if you're running PostgreSQL, if you're running SQL Server, you can actually connect DBT to those environments and do your transformations. So it's not just a cloud platform tool, but I think at the beginning when they created it, it was mostly designed for cloud platforms, but you can still use it with your on-premise databases. Okay, so this is a very high level overview of what DBT is. Again, I've done a number of videos. Actually, I did a very extensive video of what DBT is, where I went into the details of how DBT works and some of the features and some of the functions. So you have DBT in two functions. You can deploy DBT in the cloud or also DBT Core. So the cloud one comes as a complete package, so you can create your applications in the cloud, in the DBT cloud, and that one is really managed environment. But the other version of that is DBT Core, which is a CLI tool that you can install in your local environment and use it to transform your data. And that is what I've been using mostly in this channel. So you can take a look if you want to know how to use that, and it's quite free. Okay, so very high level overview of what DBT is. And then the next thing that we will be covering is Cloud Run. So this is one of the services that we'll be using in this video. So I will quickly go over what this tool is. So Cloud Run is a managed serverless platform that enables developers to run and deploy containerized applications. So this is mostly for deploying containerized applications. And when you talk of containers, the first thing that comes to your mind is Docker. Okay, so you can deploy your Docker applications into Cloud Run, and this is again a managed service within Google environment. Okay, so if you have your Docker or container applications, you can use Cloud Run to deploy and run those images. So it's a serverless platform, which means that you don't have to provision the infrastructure. And again, this is one of the benefits, right, of a serverless application. So this abstracts away the infrastructure management, so you don't have to manage the infrastructure. All you have to do is focus on building and scaling your applications without worrying about the provisioning or managing the service. So Google will do the managing for you, and all you have to do is code, okay, or a provision and create applications. Once you've created it, you push it, and there you go. You run your application. So it's very efficient. Some of the advantages for Cloud Run, okay, so ease of use. And of course, you know, you don't have to configure the complex infrastructure. Think about it. If you were to do this in your local environment, you will have to struggle and go through the pain of provisioning it and configuring it. But with Cloud Run, all you have to do is just log in, provision the environment or create the environment, and then you should be able to start using it. It is cost effective, so this means you only pay for the resources that are used during the execution. If you don't execute anything, then you are not charged. Okay, so you know, the only time you get charged is when you run your applications. It's flexible, so you can run any app that can be containerized. Okay, so and this supports all the languages, right? So if you have a code that you have packaged in either JavaScript, Java, Python, any code that you can containerize, or any application that you can put in a container, you can deploy that application to Cloud Run and run it in Cloud Run. All right, and this means that it gives you faster deployment, so you can go from code to production very quickly. And you can see in this video, you know, once we're done with this quick overview, you can see how easily it is to put together your code and then package it in the cloudbuild and cloud and Docker file, and then all you have to do is just deploy, and it's going to do the rest for you. Okay, so this is Cloud Run, and the next service that we have here is cloudbuild. And cloudbuild is a serverless CI/CD, or a CI/CD is continuous integration and continuous delivery. So cloudbuild is a CI/CD tool that is provided by Google Cloud, and this allows you to build, test, and deploy applications or artifacts in a fully managed, scalable, and secure environments. So you can use cloudbuild to basically deploy your container applications, and you can connect this with external tools like GitHub, If you have your code in GitHub, you can connect it there and then trigger your applications from there. Okay, so it's a CI/CD tool really. If you know how that works. Some of the advantages that we have of Cloud Build include fully managed. Of course, this is still a Google cloud provider service, so Google manages it, and all you have to do is use it. So no need to maintain the and build the servers or manage the infrastructure. You just have to use it. And then it's customizable. Okay, so you can use custom scripts and Docker containers to define complex pipelines. And in one of these in this video, I will be showing you how a cloud build file will be looking like, and it will be a simple one, but probably you might have seen complex ones or a simpler ones. It doesn't matter. So you can customize it and build it whichever way you like. Okay. With integration, it works seamlessly with other Google Cloud services and external tools. And I think this is basically all of the cloud services. Any cloud service that you use, at one, at a very basic level, integrates very well with other services within the environment. But with this one, it not only integrates with Google services, you can also connect it with external tools. I've mentioned GitHub. If you have your code sitting in GitHub, GitLab, which is the other one? Bitbucket, right? You can connect all of this to Cloud Build, and you can define your triggers. For example, if you want your code to if you want Cloud Build to build your code immediately, you make a push, you can do that with Cloud Build. Okay, so it's pretty good when it comes to integration. It's also scalable, so it can automatically handle it automatically handles on demand and supports large scale builds. Okay, so if you have a huge amount of code, thousands of lines, it makes it very easy, and it scales it pretty neatly to build your code, no matter how large or small it is. Okay, and also when it comes to the cost, you pay as you go, so it charges based on build time, so you only pay for the use. Okay, so this is also one of the advantages of Cloud Build. All right, and then we move on to the next service I will be using here, and this is Google GCR. I think they're also naming this to Artifact Registry. So if you're watching this probably next year from today, I'm making this video in 2024, so maybe in future it will no longer be called GCR. But currently it is Google Container Registry, and I believe they are renaming it to Artifact Registry. And this is nothing but really a fully managed Docker image storage service that's offered by Google Cloud. So this is where you store your Docker images. Google Cloud Registry, or sorry, Google Container Registry. So this is where you store your Docker images, and I believe Docker also does have, I believe, Docker Registry if you have used Docker, and that is where Docker will store your images. So with Google Cloud, if you want to store your images within the environment, then Google GCR is the service that you use for that. It enables developers to securely store, manage, and deploy Docker container images. We've said that. And it's often used as part of CI/CD pipeline to build, test, and deploy applications hosted on Google Cloud Platform. Okay, so like I showed you in that architecture that we went at the beginning of this video, we will be pushing our images to GCR, to Google GCR, and then from there we will be getting the images from there to run our Cloud Run applications. All right, so this is a container registry, and some of the advantages include integrated security, so you can build it has built-in vulnerability scanning that ensures that your container is safe for deployment. So it makes sure that the code that is in your container is safe, and there is no viruses or anything within the code. So it scans for any vulnerabilities, and it will tell you and let you know if there is anything that you need to be concerned about. It's scalable. This means that it handles any size or volume of images efficiently. So if you have large images, it can handle it without any problem. It also has global reach, so it can distribute container images with low latency using regional repositories. Of course, if you're in cloud environment, Google Cloud environment, it can distribute these images across all the regions. And it's also very easy to use, so it works out of the box with other cloud services like Kubernetes. So basically, you can easily use it with other services within Google Cloud environment. All right, guys. That's a very high level overview of the services that we'll be using in this demo. And now let's jump into the demo. All right. So we will now jump into the demo. Okay. So again, just going back to this diagram right here, um, we will be having our DBT models that we have created locally, and then we will package them into Docker file. We'll use cloudbuild to push this image to artifacts registry, and then use cloud run to trigger it. Now, the DBT model that I have is getting the data from Google BigQuery, and then doing the transformations in DBT model, and then we will push it to Docker file. The DBT that I'm using is DBT Core. So let's go over actually to Visual Studio. This is my DBT, but I think what probably might make more sense is if I show you this code in my GitHub account. Okay, so I have pushed this code to my GitHub repo, so maybe it's probably much easier to show you from there. This is the repository that I'm using, DBT tutorial, and I've used this previously. So I have I have DBT that I am doing for BigQuery, and I've done another one for Snowflake. So the one that we'll be using in this video is BigQuery, and I've named it BigQuery. You can name it anything else. The reason I'm using I named it BigQuery is because I'm using BigQuery as my data warehouse, where I will be transforming the data and loading to. Okay, so this is the structure of the project, right, that we will be going over in this video. So I have my BigQuery environment, and this one is right here, and we'll go back to this one in a minute. But this is how the DBT model is structured, right? So I have my DBT structure, and universally this is how the structure will be looking like for DBT. You have your analysis, macros, model, seed, snapshots, tests. Okay, so this is where I have the models for DBT living, and currently I have a number of models within my models, or basically, yeah, models within my models. You can say it like that. But what I mean by that is I have a model that is designed for customers here. I have my DDLs here, and the one that we'll be going over in this video is this one for orders, right? So I have created a folder here in my models called orders, and these orders is using this table that is in staging, right? So this is my source. This is my source YAML file, and I am getting the data from staging. Okay, this is staging in BigQuery. There's a schema or a dataset called staging, and I'm using a table called raw tables. So if we go to BigQuery, then this is my BigQuery environment, and this is what I'm talking about, right? This dataset here called staging, I'm using this table here, and I've loaded some sample data to this table. And what we will do, inside this table also I've defined a column to be tested for unique or null. So these are these generic tests in DBT, and you can do it like this. So what this means is when you run DBT tests, it will test this column, mainly this column, to make sure that it's either null or like it does not have nulls and it is unique. So if this is a primary key, you can do something like this, and this ensures that you don't have any duplicates in your primary key. And then in my model, in my orders model, right, so I've created a file called raw_orders. And this is what I was talking about when I was going through what DBT is, right? So DBT is nothing really but a bunch of selects that are doing transformations in a data that you have loaded into your data warehouse. So in this model right here, all I'm doing is basically doing very basic transformations to that raw table. Okay, so for example, and maybe let me zoom this in if you're not able to see it clearly. So for example, what is happening here is we are getting the data from raw orders, which is what we have defined in the schema here, and we are using orders TPL. Okay, order CBL is the source that we have defined right there. So this one here. And what we're doing in the table is we are basically just selecting the order ID as it is in the table, and then we are turning the order date into a date, naming it as order underscore date. We are creating customer name, order amount, order status, and we are creating additional column here called tax amount, and that is the calculation that we are putting here is that for any order amount we are applying 10% for taxes. So if your order amount that you get charged when you order the item is, for example, $20, then out of that $20 we are taxing 10%. And this is a derived column here that we are calculating. And then the other column that we are also creating here is this one for final status. So if we go to pQuery, this is how the table looks like, right? So we have order ID, we have order date, customer name, order amount, and order status. This is a raw table. And what we are doing with DBT is we are adding additional additional fields. And the two additional fields that we are adding are tax amount and final status. And this final status is really looking at order status. And if order status is shipped, then we are changing it to completed. And if it has not been shipped, then this order is still pending. Okay. That's it. Okay, so this is very basic table, and we are naming this table as transformed orders, and this is materialized as a table. Okay, so what materialization in DBT really means is how your table will be created in the target. So when we create this table in pQuery, it will be coming in as a table. There are several materialization in DBT. We have one is table, the other one is a view, and I think we have also a materialized view. And I believe, let's check materialization in DBT, right? So there are several materializations. Okay, so these are the materialized. So you can just read over this. But we have a table, we have a view, we also have incremental. Incremental is if you only want to ingest new data coming into your environment. And then we have ephemeral and, like I said, materialized view. Ephemeral is not pulled into your target database, but these ones are pulled. Incremental will be pulled as a table actually, but it will only process new changes. And I have done a number of videos on this, so if you want, you can take a look into those videos as well. But in this video, we will be materializing this is a table. Okay. So that is the only model that we have. You don't worry about the rest of these other ones. When we run our model, we will not be including the rest of these other ones. Okay, so this is the model that will be running in this video, and I have cloned this repo. So this is the same repo that we were just looking at in my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is the YAML file, and this is the raw. This is the model. Okay, is this too zoomed? I hope you can see it. All right. So the other thing then that we'll be doing is, so this is the DBT model. So I have walked you through this, and then the next thing then is the Docker files. So in order for you to deploy your DBT models to Docker or to cloudbuild, we need to package it in Docker, because Cloud Run runs container applications, and Docker is a container application. So we will package in Docker file, and then we push it into cloudbuild, and then eventually it lands in Cloud Run, and then we'll run it from there. Okay. Now before we go further, I mentioned that this DBT is DBT Core. So we are not using DBT Cloud. If you want to know how you can configure your DBT to connect to your pQuery, I have done a video on that previously, and I will put it in the description of this video so that you can go over it if you want to know how you connect to pQuery using DBT Core. So just wanted to mention that in case you are wondering how we run this. So from there, the next thing that we will do is now create our Docker file, right? So remember, all of this, I have two directories here. I have one for Snowflake and one for BigQuery. All of my files will be living inside BigQuery, okay? So including the Docker file. So all of your, all of the files that you need to deploy to your Cloud Run should be in the same directory. So for that, I have now created a Docker file here. So this Docker file is within the BigQuery project. All right. So at the beginning here, on top here, we are importing the Python image to be used, and this one is 3.9. And right here, we are setting the working directory in the container, and this is we've named it as app. So this will be within our container. And right here, we are copying all of our project files to this working directory. So what this means really is we are copying everything, right? So we are copying all of these files. We are copying analysis, macros, models, seeds, snapshots, tests, and the rest of the files that we have right here. So that includes profiles, packages, DBT, project, cloudbuild. So we are copying all of that in this application working directory. And then once now we are inside the Docker application or container, the first thing that we will do after that is to run dependencies. So here we will be using pip to run the dependencies. So we want to upgrade pip. And right here, after we upgrade our pip, we run our requirements. Now, what do we have in the requirements.txt here? We have the packages for that right here in the requirements file. So we will be using pip to install DBT Core. So DBT Core is the CLI tool, right, that will be running our DBT inside the application. We also have the adapter for BigQuery, and this will make sure that DBT is able to connect to your BigQuery environment again inside the container. Okay. You can ignore some of these other ones. I have Podo, Tree, Feka, and Pandas. You don't have to do this, but I believe I was using these libraries at some point, so I just left them there. But these two are the ones that you need. Now, if there's any other package that you want to be installed that you're using in your applications, then you can include it here. And then it will run when the container, it will be installed inside the container, okay? So that is what this part of the Docker file is doing, right? So I'm just installing everything that is inside that requirements.txt file. And then the next thing that we are doing here is installing DBT dependencies. So if you have any DBT packages inside your packages.yaml, then that is what DBT debs is doing. Okay, so right here I have DBT labs for DBT utils, and when we run DBT debs, we want to make sure that we are utilizing the packages that we have defined right here. Okay. And then from there, the next thing that we are doing here is setting the environment variables for DBT. So we are inside the container defining an environment called DBT profiles, and these DBT profiles is telling your container where to find your profiles file, right? So profiles file is this one here. Okay, so you need profiles file because you want to tell DBT how to connect to your BigQuery environment. So right here, this is a very this is a profiles file that DBT is using to connect to your BigQuery. So we have defined here the dataset that your DBT models will be created in. So this is CK data tech. If I go to BigQuery, that is this one right here. This one right here. So if I refresh this environment, you will see that we don't have any table in CK data tech. Okay, so we don't have any table here. But now when we run our model in Cloud Run, the transformation, so this is the table that I was showing you here. When this model runs raw SQL, row underscore SQL. When our transformation runs, it needs to be created somewhere inside your data warehouse, the transform table. So this once this model runs, right, and does all of these transformations, DBT will want to know where to create this table. So this table now will be created in the dataset that you have mentioned here. So this table now in this case will be created in CK data tech, which is this one right here. So when we run our model, we expect to see a table inside this data, CK data tech dataset called transformed orders right here. So we are aliasing this model when it runs, and we are calling it transformed orders. Now, if you don't do this aliasing in your code, and you just leave everything as default, but you define it to be material as a table, it will be created. DBT will use the name of the model, right? So if it's row underscore orders, when the table is created or when the model runs, the table or the view will be created in your target schema with this name, row orders. Okay, so for me, I don't want this to be taken as the default name. I'm changing it to transformed underscore orders. Right, so the other thing that I need to mention here is if you don't define the materialization, by default, DBT will create it as a view. Okay, so if you don't put anything here or inside your YAML file to tell DBT how to materialize this model, then by default, it will be created as a view. Okay, so that's just one thing I need to mention there. All right, so again, this is the profiles file, and we are using auth, is it, which is the our right, yeah, the method of authentication here is auth, and I think this behind the wood will be using a service account to connect to your Google BigQuery. So the service account, I haven't made it here, but I think just if you do it like this, you should be able to run it. But I think behind the scene, it's using service account to connect to your BigQuery. And of course, the project here is data engineering project. I think some of these other ones are optional. The location, you can use the location if you want. For me, I'm in the US, and the number of retries. So I think these three here, you can leave it out, even the priority and the threads. The type has to be BigQuery. So some of this you don't need all of this. I think the primary ones are the data set, the method, the project, and I believe the type. I think the threads also you might need it. Again, in the video where I went through the process of connecting a DBT to BigQuery, I went through the process of how to set this one up. So this is how the profiles file will be looking like. Okay, so Docker file needs to know where that one is, and that is what we are setting right here. And now at the end, we want to specify the entry point. When our Cloud Run job runs, what are the default entry points that your Docker will be using or your image will be using? So in this case, I have defined these entry points as these ones. So we want to run DBT run, right? So we just want to run this model right here. So how this will be looking like if you are running a DBT model in your command line is it will be looking like this, right? So I will just create a new thing here. So this will be looking like DBT run select orders. Okay, so if you are to run this one in your command line, right, this is how it will be interpreted as. But in Cloud Run, if you specify it like this will not run. So you have to put commas, after each command, and this is how Cloud Run will interpret this. It will interpret it as this one. So it will be running DBT and then run. And for this case, we're just selecting orders. We're just selecting orders, and the reason for that is because I have some of the other models inside my models. Like for example, I have customers, I have students. So if you want to run all of these models in your models folder, then you can just do dbt run, and this will this will run everything, right? This will run everything in your models. But for me, I just want to run this orders one. I don't want to run anything else. So again, what I've said here is these are the commands that you could that Cloud Run will execute on default. So when you go to Cloud Run, there are two ways of running it. You can execute with overrides through the console, or you can just hit execute. So when you run your job, and I'll show you that once we switch over to Cloud Run, when you just hit execute in the console, this will be the command that DBT will execute. Now there's another option within Cloud Run where you can specify what commands to write. So that is running with overrides. And with that one, you can specify the commands that you want your Cloud Run to execute. But if you don't do that, then by default, we are saying that this will be the commands that Cloud Run will choose. Okay, so that is what I've put right here in our Docker file. All right, so we are done with the Docker file now. And the next thing that we will go over is cloudbuild. Now, before we go to cloudbuild, let me just quickly show you the DBT project, okay, because it's important when it comes to DBT. So this is your project, dbt.projects, dbt underscore project YAML. The only thing that I wanted to show you is a profile right here, okay? So the profile that we will be using should match the profile that you have in your profiles. So for example, the profiles in the profiles file, we have named this profile as bquery. Now when you come to your DBT project, this has to match what you have here, okay? And the rest of the other ones are pretty generic and standard across the DBT projects. So that's just quickly what I wanted to show you, okay? So these have to match. If they don't match, then you might run into issues with your DBT models. Okay, so now let's switch over to cloudbuild YAML, and this is now this stage right here. Okay, so we have our Docker file. Now let's go to cloudbuild. Now cloudbuild, like we said, is a CI/CD. Okay, it's a CI/CD service that you can use to deploy and run your applications within your Google Cloud environment. So basically, what this cloudbuild will be helping us with is it's going to build our Docker image, the Docker image we've defined here. It's going to build it inside the Cloud Registry. So basically, it's going to push it. It's going to push and build it in the Cloud Registry, and then it's also going to deploy this image. It is going to deploy our the image. It's going to deploy the container to Cloud Run jobs, right? So the container that we'll be using here, we will be using cloudbuild to submit this and to create our Cloud Run job. Okay, so these are the steps that I have here, and you will probably see different setup of how cloudbuild will be looking like, and that is one of the advantage that I believe we mentioned here, that it is very customizable. So you can customize your cloudbuild file to whichever liking, right? So in this case, the step one that we have defined here is we want to build our Docker image, this one here that has our DBT models. So we will be building this, so basically submitting it to GCR, and we will be using these arguments. We are building it and naming it DBT Cloud Run. So this will be the name that will be created in GCR, and basically we are just building everything that is in this folder in the current directory. So we are just pushing this image and building it in GCR. And then the next one here is we push the image to container registry. Okay, so we are building it and then we're pushing the image. Okay, so the first is we build the image and then we push it again to container registry, and this is the command that we are using for that. We push it, and then now once we push our image container registry, the next step here that we have is to deploy this container image to Cloud Run. Okay, so this is the command that we are using. So we'll be using gcloud to deploy this image to Cloud Run. Now the one thing that you can do here is you can basically just specify the command. So you can just do something like cloud, for example. You can just say cloud, uh, cloud run, I believe jobs deploy, and then put the rest of the other arguments. Okay, so cloud run jobs deploy. So we are deploying this. We're using this image and we are deploying it to Cloud Run. Okay, and the last one here that we have here is the images. Okay, so these are the images that we'll be using for deploying our container to Cloud Run. Okay, so just take some time to go over this. And again, if you just wanted to replicate something like this, you can copy this code. I will be putting this one also in the description, so you can come and take a look. Okay, so we have our Docker file. All right, so we have, let me just go back to the this one here, this architecture. So we have our cloud build file now created. Again, we'll be building and pushing it to artifact registry, and then we deploy our container to Cloud Run. So we have end-to-end setup now complete. And the next thing that we'll do from here is to deploy this code now. Now, again, we are using Cloud here. So if you don't have Cloud installed, I did a video. Actually, I made 2 videos on this where I went through the process of installing Cloud SDK in Windows, and also I went through the process of installing Cloud on Mac environment. So I will also put those videos in the description, so you can take a look as well if you want to install Cloud. But now that we have everything that we need ready, then I'm just going to switch over to my Visual Studio. I'm just going to close this. So we'll switch over to Visual Studio Code, and I am going to go to terminal, new terminal here. All right, and we need to be inside our pQuery. So this is my working directory now. I need to go to pQuery because that's where all of my files are located. Okay, and now we will just execute the command to run, and this is the command here. I have it for you. It's cloud build submit, and we will be submitting this cloud build YAML. So this is the only thing we need to do. We'll just submit this, and then this will deploy our images and containers to Cloud Registry, and also deploy our container to Cloud Run. Okay, so this one command here will do everything for you. So I'm just going to copy this, and I put this period at the end here, and I said here the period at the end means your cloud build file is in your current directory. So basically it means that we want the file is in the current directory, which is in this case pQuery. So we want to run it within this directory. Now before we execute that file, I want to quickly go over to Cloud Run, and you can see in Cloud Run we have 2 services. The services one is for running HTTP endpoints. This is for HTTP. If you have anything HTTP related, it goes to the service section. And then the jobs is now the Cloud Run job. This is where our patch applications will be running in. We don't have any image right now. Sorry, we don't have any job in Cloud Run, but what we expect to see is once we deploy the application, a job here will be created for us, and we can execute once it's created. And of course, we will not see anything here until when we execute our Cloud Run job in pQuery. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go here and paste that command right here. Okay, so we are pasting cloud build submit, and we are using the configuration from cloudbuild.yaml file. And then all we have to do is just hit enter on this, and this will upload your files and build your applications, and then deploy it to Cloud Run. Now again, like I mentioned, I'm using Cloud. Cloud is installed in my environment. If you don't have it installed, when you try to execute this, it will throw some errors. So you do need to have Cloud installed. Again, I've done the videos for those, so you make sure you go ahead and take a look into those. And from here now you can see that our build has started. Okay, so let me just not zoom it too much. Okay, so this one has started now, and I believe it's going to go through all of the steps that we have in our Docker file. Now, one place that you can monitor some of this is if you go to Cloud Run. Of course, I think we have Cloud Run here. It will not show up until when it is the section of that one has reached. But I think the other place that you can also monitor this is your cloud build, because we have a cloud build service here. If you open that, okay, so you can also see, so you can see now that we have a cloud build file here that is running right here. Okay, so you can see, what it's doing and everything, and if there's any error, you will see it here. So if we switch over now to our terminal, you can see the same steps happening here. So this might take a few minutes to build everything, because we are doing everything within one file. So this might take a few minutes, so we'll just let it run, and once it's done, we'll go ahead and see what's happening. All right, so that one didn't take too much time that I thought it was going to take longer, but it ran quickly, and I believe, I ran it before, that's why it already found some things. Yours might take, 2 to 5 minutes to build everything, but now it's successful. As you can see here, this one has successfully created. So if we go here, you can see this one. Also, the build has ran successfully. And now if you go to your Cloud Run section here, and if you refresh this, we should be able to see something here. There we go. So this is our Cloud Run job. And if you click into this, you will see, I think, let's see if we see any metrics here. Okay, we don't have anything with no logs, YAML file. Okay, so you can see how the YAML file looks like. Now, so what we will do here, from here, you can just go ahead and execute, right? You can execute now your Cloud Run job. So this is what I was talking about. So if you click into this Cloud Run job, we have the default execution. So you can just hit execute here, or you can execute with overrides. And this is the container arguments where you can put your commands to run with overrides. So what we will do in this video, I will show you how to run. Actually, let's do the debug first. We'll run with overrides first, and then after that, I will show you how to just execute. So with overrides, all you have to do is say DBT. So in our configuration right here, the entry point that we used in our Docker file was DBT. So we had DBT in the Docker file. So I don't think we need to specify DBT when we run this, but you can do it. But I'm just going to say run, okay? And we will say, actually, we'll just do debug, DBT debug, right? I think so, because I will just do debug like this. And we'll see how, if that will be recognized. And the reason I'm doing that is because when we want to run DBT, the command to check our configuration is usually DBT debug, like this. And since we already have DBT as our entry point, we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to only use debug here. And what this will do is go to our environment and make sure that our profiles is good and we are able to connect to BigQuery. That's what all this is doing, really. Okay, so it might take a few minutes to start the job, but it should not take too long. Okay, so it's pending now, and once it runs, we will be able to see the logs. So you can go to the log section here, and let's see if this command was able to run. It's this is yesterday. Let's see. So this is today. Okay, so you can see it here. All right, so it's running now. Okay, that's good. Let's see if it's telling us, giving us any option for logs here. You will also be able to see few logs once it starts emitting the logs on this right hand here. But I think the parent files also will be able to see. It will be at the bottom. The logs will be at the bottom. So it seems like we don't have the logs coming in yet. But as soon as the logs start coming in, we will be able to see them right here. So again, what we expect to see in the logs is if our configurations to connect to our BigQuery environment is good. So it will just be looking into that profiles file and checking if the connections to BigQuery is good. So just, we'll look at this. Okay, that one ran successfully, and you can view the logs here. Let's see what is there in the logs. All right, there we go. Okay, so it's actually, surprisingly, it ran our DBT. I don't think I believe I needed to interact. I think that the commands that we put, DBT debug probably doesn't, the debug by itself will not probably work, but it went ahead and created, right? So you can see here, it went ahead and created our table now. So that means, again, I mean, from here, you can just say, right, like it was able to, there was no error, right? Because we can see here that it went through our models and created a transformed table. So what this means is that DBT debug command was not recognized, and I think we should be able to, I think we can modify this so that we can see an error, right? If the command that you put in the overrides is not legit. And I believe the reason for that is probably here. We might have to modify the entry point to just say DBT only. But since the default one is this one here, what it did was it went ahead and ran DBT run select orders for this. So basically, it went ahead and triggered our model. And since it has run, we can go ahead and now refresh our data set here, and we probably will see another table here created. Okay, so I think, I don't know, my internet might be a bit slow. It's taking a bit longer to refresh this. Okay, yeah, took a little bit there, but yeah, so you can see now that we have a table here created in our dataset, CK data deck, and we should be able to see those additional fields created. Okay, so we had tax amount and final status as created or derived fields, and if you scroll to this end here, you will see that we have now tax amount and final status, and this tax amount is based on the amount here. So 10% of this looks like is 13.1, 10% of this is 10. So it went ahead and applied the transformations to our row table. And the interesting thing right here that you've noticed, right, is that DBT, we didn't have to specify the create statement. We didn't have to do anything else. So all we just told DBT is the transformations, and then DBT went ahead and created the table for us, the transform table in BigQuery. Okay, so this is that's the beauty of DBT. It will do the work for you and create a table for you. So behind the scenes, it's doing all of the DDLs and then pointing it and creating the table that in your target schema that you have specified. So now, I mean, like, this is what really DBT does. All we did was put the select statements, and then it went ahead and did this for us. Now let's go back over to our Cloud Run job here. The other thing that I was going to tell you is if you hit just execute here, it will do the same thing. Now let's actually try something else. Let's try that command again with now saying DBT debug like this. Let's see if that one will run, or it's going to give us a problem again. All right, let me actually minimize this. So if we go over here, it's running. Okay, go to the logs, scroll to the bottom. Let's see if that will run now. So the way this one is currently set up is that so DBT table, every time the DBT model runs, it will be dropped. That table will be dropped and recreated again. So if this DBT debug does not run properly, it's just going to default to that DBT run and select the orders, and then it will run that. This one succeeded. Let's see the logs for this. Let's see this time if it recognized that command. Okay, so looks like it did not. So it went ahead and ran the table again. So I think this is something that I might have to modify in future, and I believe again the point of modification will be here. Okay, so if you put the entry point as this one it's going to just always run this. So I think to avoid this, you might just want to delete, and instead of uh, doing this in your entry point, you can just do DBT. But now imagine if this was the only model that you are running in your environment, then you can just do this, right? You can just, put this entry point here and then come to your Cloud Run and just always execute that. So it seems right now like it's only that command that's executing, but um, you can actually do it with overrides. So if you had like if you just put DBT as your entry point, then you can just come here and say run, or if you want to do test, you can do test. And if you have any snapshots, you can also do snapshots, right? So you can do all of that. And you can select the the model that you want to run as well. So if, for example, if we did not specify the rest of this one in this model here, and we wanted to run the same thing here, so what you will just do there is come to your Cloud Run and come to arguments here. Of course, just go to here and then execute with overrides, and then what you'll do is do run here, just do run, and then you will do select like this, and then orders like this. Okay, so this will run your your models now, only your orders. And if you are if you are to switch to another like model like customers, then you'll just do the same thing here. So for example, if we go back to our models and you wanted to run this one here, then that's how you'll do it. You'll just come and select DBT run, select customers. I believe you can also just include DBT as well here. So I think it will do the same thing. Okay, so yeah, I mean what I mean by that is you can do DBT run, select orders like that, and then just execute and it will run fine. All right, so I think let's actually I'm not going to modify that, but uh, the other thing that I was to show you was just to execute. So we'll go ahead and delete this table. um, all right, so we've deleted that, and if you just run execute again, that is the point of what you have here by default. When you hit execute, this one is what will run. If you just put DBT also here without run, I believe by default it will run all of the commands. It will run all of the commands in, I mean, it will run all the models. Sorry, it will run all the models that you have in your directory here. So it will run customers, it will run students, and if there are any errors with students, it will throw some errors. So, but since we only limited this to orders, now if you go back here and just hit execute, then only models will run again. But again, I mean, this is something that you can play around with once you have the environment set up. So the only thing I wanted to show you, I think these are just bonus, and how you interact with the environment. But you can use the Docker image to just define the entry point, and I think again just use DBT as entry point, and then the rest of this you can put in the overrides. But if you want to schedule this, then you can, and there's a specific model that you want to run, then you can do this. If you want to run all the models and you just want to also do it at the entry point, you can do DBT run, and don't specify the rest of this, and it will run all the models that are in your models folder. So if we go back here now and let's see, it's running now. All right, we go in there. Let's see at the end here. Okay, I think it's creating. Looks like it's finished. Created the table. All right, there we go. So you can see in your logs that we have the same. I think it will just be the same with what we've been seeing. Okay, so it will start. It will start the transformation, and then it will start creating the table. Go ahead and create it, and it will let you know if there are any issues. It's going to show you right here. All right, so if we go back to BigQuery now, it will also be, if we refresh the data set here, we will have that table showing up with the data. There we go. Okay, all right, so now the other thing that I think you can do here, if you go to your Cloud Run, I believe we should be able to schedule this, I think. Let's see if we can schedule this. Manage customs, deploy container, connect to repo. Triggers right here. Okay, so you can actually, if you go to the Cloud Run, you can go to trigger section here, and you can add scheduler trigger, and so you can specify the frequency using cron expression here, and every time the time reaches, it will be triggered, right? Your Cloud Run will be triggered. So you can manually do that from here, and then if like once the time is up for the scheduler to be triggered, it's going to trigger your Cloud Run the DBT job, and then upgrade your data warehouse. So this will be good for if you have to run or refresh your data warehouse, let's say daily or every few hours. You can actually do it from here itself, and then your Cloud Run job will be triggered once that schedule has arrived. So that's something that you can actually do with Cloud Run right here. I think, I don't know if there's anything else I forgot to mention in this video. Let's check additionally if we can run a DBT test. So let's say DBT test. So DBT test will go through your schema and see if there are any tests defined here, and it will run. I don't expect this to run just because it seems like it's defaulting to the entry point that we defined in our Docker file. But if again you remove the rest of this select option here, I believe DBT test should run if you do it in your overrides, and all it will do is basically go to your configuration file and see if there are any tests defined. It's going to run the tests, and it's going to emit the output of the tests in your logs. So that is just one way of doing that. But I don't think this one is currently working. I think actually I will do another video where I will deep dive into this, and I will show you how you can customize this, how you can even connect this to your repo, and then also I will do a video that you can connect this to Composer or Airflow, right? So stay tuned. There's more coming on this, and we will clean this up and make it work for you. So I doubt if this one will work, but let's see. Yeah, it did not. So it just went ahead and ran that command. But you can do something like that, right? You can put the test right here, just DBT test, and it will run the test in your environment. We will scale this up, and we will integrate it with services like Composer, and also into your repo, either within Pickpocket, GitLab or GitHub. I think we'll just be using GitHub just because I'm using GitHub. We'll connect our environment to GitHub, push our code there, and then we'll include Cloud Composer to orchestrate this. Okay, but at a very basic level, this is what I wanted to show you guys, right? You can use Cloud Run to run your DBT jobs. All right, so if you're using primarily Google Cloud Platform for your data engineering, and you are using DBT and are wondering how to use DBT in your environment, this is one way of doing it. Okay, and I think this is probably one of the best ways of running DBT in Google Cloud environment. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. I have gotten a number of comments within the last few months of how hard it is to get engineering resources in Google environment. Actually, just resources in general, learning resources. That's what I mean, right? Like learning resources for data engineering in general for Google Cloud Platform. They are pretty scarce. You don't find them a lot. And even for videos like this, right, where how to run Cloud Run on GCP, I think there are just a few videos out there that do something like this. So I was poking around and I was trying to learn. Oh, who has done this? How to do it? And it was very difficult to get it. So I hope this video adds to that, and it's going to help you out on how to figure this out. And moving forward, I'll just be doing more videos for data engineering on Google Cloud environment. I'm also doing, for DBT, AWS as well, just, general data engineering, because data engineering is very extensive, right? There's no one tool that is good for you for data engineering. And if you're a data engineer, then you do need to know all of the tools that you want to use, because you might be asked by your company to design, a data architecture using different tools. So it's good to know all of this, and that's the reason why, I'm bringing you these resources in GCP, AWS, even on-prem tools as well. We have DBT, and DBT is one of the very good transformation tool that's out there right now. So all of these tools are bringing you fall into the category of what they call modern data tech stack. So these are the modern hot tools that are currently in the market. So I'll make sure that I will bring you the latest and hottest topics in the market. So all you have to do is just subscribe the channel and let me know if there's anything I need to cover, and you will stay updated whenever I drop another video. But that's all I had for you guys in this video. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel, give thumbs up to this video, and let me know in the comment section, if you like this video, if there's anything I missed, if there's anything I misspoke. Definitely let me know in the comments. If also there's a topic you want me to cover or add to this, let me know and I will do that. All right guys, I will see you then in the next video. Bye bye.